Good day, students. Today I am going to start the second chapter from your book First Flight. That is Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. When we talk about Nelson Mandela, we remember one thing. That is, he was the first South African president. And you know what happened during those days in the year before 1994 there. A movement was started in South Africa, that is the apartheid. It nearly went on for nearly 3 centuries, you can say. What is apartheid? Apartheid is a racial description or separating the people on the basis of color. That is whites, blacks and colored. Whites are the people who are white, black, and colored are the mixed color, black and white. So Nelson Mandela, he fought against that movement, that is apartheid. And in this, he has written his own autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom. How he achieved freedom, how he overcame this problem which was existing in South Africa. So he has spent nearly 30 years in prison fighting a long fight it was. He spent nearly 30 years in prison, and afterwards he was able to overcome this problem and he became the first black president of South Africa. So here now he is writing about, in this autobiography he is writing about how he fought and what he felt. And here he has also given that when he was going to be nominated as the first black president, how South Africa was decorated. This all is being given in this lesson. So first thing, in the short I will be saying you, here they have given a news item from the BBC in the newspaper, which was published in those days. So Nelson Mandela, he has become the first black president, and after nearly 3 centuries these whites were ruling over the blacks and the colored, and his party was African National Congress Party, and out of 400 seats he has won 252 seats, and he won the first democratic election in South Africa's history. So how much seats he has won? He has won 252 seats out of 400. And the inauguration of this ceremony, it took place in the buildings of amphitheater. You have to remember this word, amphitheater. When it took place on 10th May 1994, Nelson Mandela became the first president of the blacks, and he won how much? 252 seats out of 400 seats. And this is what happened in the history of South Africa. This inauguration ceremony was taking place. Where it took place? It took place in Union Buildings Amphitheater in Pretoria. You have to remember this one, where it took place. It took place in Union Buildings Amphitheater in Pretoria. And nearly 140 countries' politicians and dignitaries came to have a glance over this ceremony. How many countries politicians and dignitaries came? Nearly 140. 140 countries' politicians and dignitaries came there. And here what is given in the news item there, that on the streets of South Africa, everywhere you can see people who were blacks, whites and colored, and it was beautifully decorated, and nearly 1 lakh South Africans, men, women and children, they sang song and they danced with joy. So this was given in the news item. So already I told you, Nelson Mandela is writing his own autobiography, and he is saying how was that 10th May 1994. He is saying how the nature was, how South Africa was beautifully decorated, everything there. You can see page number 17. So that was the day. Which day was 10th May 1994. And Nelson Mandela, what he is saying, even the sunrise came out that day clearly and brightly. And he is saying for the past few days, that is before 10th May, everywhere, how many countries came? 140 countries I have told you. All the people started coming from. They were the dignitaries and political leaders from the world. They were coming. What for they were coming? To pay the respects for the inauguration. And here, what is Nelson Mandela saying? This was the largest gathering of the international leaders to the soil of South Africa there. And where did this ceremony take place? It already I told you, it has taken place in the amphitheater formed by the Union buildings in Pretoria. Now what is this amphitheater? Amphitheater here means that is an open area where only the seats will be placed and clothing like tent or something will be put. And very open area, many people can sit and watch. So for decades together, for a period of 10 years, this white, in South Africa, whenever we say about South Africa, what we remember? Blacks and whites. Domination of whites over the blacks. So this domination went for nearly 10 decades there, and now they were able to see a sight of rainbow. Here rainbow, it means here not the rainbow colors here, but it is a 3-colored rainbow here. That's the black people, white and the colored. We're sitting under the same roof under the amphitheater, that open theater. But before this ceremony, you could not have seen such thing. If any people of blacks were mingling with white, they would put them in prison there. So why they all were sitting here together? Now it has become a non-racial government. So here, what is Nelson Mandela saying? He and his daughter Janani also were there, and on the podium they have used the word podium. Podium here means the stage or the platform. Mr. de Klerk, he became the second deputy president, and Thabo Mbeki, he was the first deputy president. Now these two political leaders have taken pledge as second deputy president and first deputy president. And now it was turn of Nelson Mandela. And when these political leaders, when they pledge or when they become the ministers, they will be pledging, they will take a oath ceremony will be there. Even Nelson Mandela also happened to take up, and what he took the pledge, he told that he will obey and uphold what is written in the constitution, and he will be working for the republic and its people. And to the guests who were sitting there, what he addressed, he told, today all of the people are present here. Why? They have come here to see or to have a glance over the newborn liberty. Liberty means what? Freedom. And what is this freedom? It was the experience of an extraordinary human disaster. Now they have written here human disaster. Disaster means great tragedy. Many peoples were killed. They were even demoralized. They were deriving of their respect also. And this lasted nearly for decades together, that is for a period of 10 years. And Nelson Mandela fought over it, and now today he has made the human society proud. Now he is saying, again he is continuing his saying whatever he wants to say to the guests there, and he is saying that his South African soil has got this rare privilege that all the international leaders, that is nearly 140 countries leaders, political leaders and dignitaries, have come on this soil together from all over the world. Why? To have a glance to see the people of South Africa who had fought for justice, peace and human dignity. And he's saying at last they have achieved what they want, and they were able to free themselves from the clutches of whites. Now they are not under the bondage, they are not suffering from poverty, deprivation and suffering of gender or discrimination. Not on the basis of color they are suffering, not out of poverty they are suffering. And what is saying, never and never in this beautiful land of South Africa again any people will be experiencing the degrading themselves as being blacks or whites. And he is saying, let us all long live, so God bless Africa. This is what he has addressed to the gatherings there. Then after the addressing of Nelson Mandela, helicopters were flying in the sky there, and for a moment when he looked up into the sky, there were South African jets, all helicopters, troop carriers, all in a perfect formation. Means vehicle carrying soldiers, everything was in a correct order there over the Union buildings. And he's saying, you have seen the even the planes also, air shows, how beautifully it will be displayed. Same here also on the Union building, that is over the amphitheater, that Union buildings at amphitheater in Pretoria. Even that day there were air shows, and even the people who were on the roads there, even the military forces, all were pinpoint precision. Pinpoint precision here means they all were in perfect orders. People who were on the horses, military forces, they'll be on the horse, they'll be on the vehicles, all were in perfect order there. And they were paying their loyalty to democracy, they were paying the respect to a new government there. And after that, even the South African Defence Force and Police, they also were not left behind. Their chest bedecked with ribbons and medals from day gone by saluted me and pledged their loyalty. All these people, even the police force also, they were having their medals, they were having their ribbons, everything, and they all were respecting Nelson Mandela there. So now here, what is Nelson Mandela, what he has written is in his autobiography. If he would have done before South Africa has got freedom, what would have happened? People would have then and there arrested him, that the whites, they would have arrested Nelson Mandela and put him in jail. And finally, how was the air show is saying, a chevron of Impala jets left a smoke of black, red, green, blue and gold of the new South African black. So even the jet planes also were putting on their shows, and they put the smoke in such a way, and they were the color of black, red, green, blue and gold. This was in the South African flag color they were putting up the shows. So even they were singing the national anthems. Whites were singing this, they were playing the national anthem of even the blacks as well as the whites. The whites were singing national anthem of Nosi Kelkel Africa, and blacks were singing Dice Step. And what is Nelson Mandela saying? That day when they were singing, they don't know the proper wordings of the song, but afterwards they all will be knowing the same national anthem by heart. So he is saying how the people, how they hated the blacks, but now how they were paying the respect, how they were trying to sing the national anthem, all they were able to, he was able to sing on that day. And the day of inauguration, he is saying, that was in the decade of 20th century, and a few years before his birth. Now in this particular paragraph, Nelson Mandela is saying how was the life before they got freedom here. So when he was born, after a few years when he came, in his childhood, he came to know that people differentiated these blacks and whites. And white skinned peoples, they formed themselves as they were different, and they always dominated the blacks, that are the dark skinned people. And what is Nelson Mandela saying here? This was the most inhuman societies of the world ever known. Now in the last decade of 20th century, we are speaking about the beginning of 20th century, how it is. They were under the racial discrimination by the whites. Now at the end of 20th century, he is saying he is standing himself as a man, and he has overcome that system that has been totally overturned. Now all people are living together regardless of their color of their skin. So he is saying he cannot forget the day of how much people sacrificed their life for the South African freedom. And for nearly 30 years, Nelson Mandela, he himself was in the jail there, prison there, and he is saying he wants to pay respects to all the people who have sacrificed their life for South African freedom. And he is saying he is not the only person, he is one among the freedom fighters. And today he is able to stand as a president because of the sacrifice of all those people there. And he is saying he is feeling pain today, he is feeling very unhappy that he is not able to pay respect to all that patriots who had fought for their country's freedom. And he is saying the policy of apartheid, again he is coming to this apartheid, racial discrimination on the basis of color. He is saying it has left a long lasting deep wound in the people of the blacks there, and they are saying it might take for them time to recover from all that wound. But even this also had some benefits also. How he is saying some of the leaders here who all fought for the freedom. He has given the names, you can see on the page number 20. Oliver Tambo, Walter, Chief, Yusuf, Bram, Robert. These all are the peoples of the freedom fighters who had been born because of this racial discrimination. So he is saying because of something bad, sometimes something good also happens. What is that? How we will come to know people are brave? We will come to know people are brave when something such negative things happen. So he is saying because people wanted freedom, they were able to bring up people like all this. Oliver Tambo, Walter Sisulu, Chief Literally, Yusuf Dadu, how they were able to come to know about these people. For example, in our country, Mahatma Gandhi, Nehru. Why these people have become famous? Because they fought for our country. So this type of people, when they come up, when something happens like this. So he is saying this is the positive side also there. And he is saying if someone asks his country is rich in what? He will say that his country is rich in minerals and there are gems beneath the precious stones in the soil. But when they ask whom do you value the most, which mineral or which precious stone you value the most, he is saying that, and he will be saying that he values the human beings the more. They are the purest diamond than the real diamonds there. And he is saying it is from these comrades in the struggle that we learn the meaning of courage. So he is saying courage, we cannot show our courage always. When in time of need only we can show the courage. So you have seen, he is saying that many times we have seen men and women risking their lives and they are able to stand, they are able to bear the torture attacks. But a person who is bearing the torture of others, what he is saying, he should not bear. Even he also should fight. He should show the courage. Courage is not something which you show on the people who are weaker than you. When all united, we can show our courage and we can get our freedom. And he is saying, the brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he conquers that fear. So what he is saying, first every human should have a quality. What fear he is having inside him, first he should remove that fear. Then only he can become courage. Then only we can have people like Gandhiji, Nehruji, all. So again, one more thing he is pointing out here, Nelson Mandela, he is saying, when a baby is born, whether he is black or white, he does not start hating the people. But in the society which he is brought up, there the people start hating. Their parents or the society tells them that you are white, you have to dominate the black. And he is saying that nothing comes by birth. Everything we learn afterwards. For one example he is giving here, that when he was nearly in the prison for 30 years, and during those days when they were pushed inside the prison, the guards used to not to thrash them, a few of them. They used to have sympathy. So what he is saying, that when people are having that humanity within them, every human, however he is, he will have humanity in him. So when they have this humanity, we can make them feel love towards us also. And what he is saying, a person who hates others, he can also love others. See, he thought that this is what I had to do. The whites hate blacks. We should make them see that the whites love blacks. So here we come to the first part of the chapter. So I think you have got the idea here what Nelson Mandela, he has written his own biography. It is a long walk to freedom. He spent 30 years in jail. What for? He fought over this apartheid, the racial discrimination of the people in South Africa. When we talk about, we always remember the blacks and whites, how whites dominated, and he became the first president, how they celebrated this movement, how he addressed, what he has addressed to the people here. And he is saying about when he was born, that's the beginning of 20th century, how it was. And when it is the end of 20th century, he is standing as a person, he is standing in the South African soil, where it has totally freedom and there is no discrimination now against the white, blacks and the colored. And he is saying that people are not born with the feelings of hatred or something. It's a society, and some of the political leaders come up like him also, he is saying. So, and he's remembering all the people who had sacrificed their life, and he feels sorry that he's not able to show sympathy to those people who had died for the freedom of South Africa. With this we come to the first two parts of the chapter. Thank you, students.